Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was released in 2025. This is, of course, not to be confused with Disney's 2025 Snow White. Even when you Google the full name of this film, the top results are for Disney's version. It takes a couple of scrolls to get to this one. However, this one is animated, so while it's possible they released this to try and capitalise on the increased searching of Disney's version, it is an animated version. They're not just ripping off Disney's version, so credit where it's due. It is a little different, and in general, it's okay. It's a decent experience. It would never be my top choice when recommending a Snow White story, but I thought it was pretty good. This was released, of course, 2025. It's directed by Erica Duke and Michael Johnson. It's written by Lauren Pritchard and Joe Roche, and we have a voice cast including Jessica Chancellor, Danny Bonaduce, D.C. Douglas, and various others, and I apologise if I've mispronounced any of those names. And it's generally recognisable as the story of Snow White, who is in danger because of the evil queen, and the evil queen wants to be the fairest of them all, and then some dwarfs come along, and Snow White makes friends with them, and then the prince can help out. And I won't go into too much more detail than that. I'm assuming you're aware of the story, and as I said, if you're not aware of it, if you haven't seen it, my first recommendation will always be Disney's animated version. It is a classic for a reason. Also, if you're interested in Disney history or animation history, I thoroughly recommend doing some reading around Disney's film, because there's just so much rich, delicious history surrounding the creation of that animation. But obviously that's irrelevant to this discussion, but just if you're not aware of the story, please check out Disney's animation, and if you enjoy it, consider doing some additional research. It's so fascinating. This film, however, while maybe not as rich in history, it's decent. I think they handled the story really well. The pacing is good. The characters are well written. They're recognisable. The voice acting is very good. It was a little slow to begin with. The narrative was quite slow to begin with, but it did pick up, I'd say, relatively quickly, so that wasn't really a big issue. This one feels, not to constantly compare it with the Disney version, but this one is not as gentle. Snow White in Disney's version is a lot more gentle, and the colours are a lot more gentle. This one's a lot stronger in the animation style. It's bolder, and obviously partly that's because this is much more recent, but also I feel like the animation style depicts Snow White as not as soft around the edges, and that gives the character something maybe just slightly different, but certainly the character is recognisable. I like how she's presented. I have absolutely no issues with this version of Snow White, and in general I can't really complain. Obviously, it's a decent narrative, well executed, great pacing after an initial slow start, recognisable, well-written characters, great voice acting, really satisfying animation style. If you like the story of Snow White, absolutely give it a go. It's a decent experience. If you're not familiar with Snow White, please watch the Disney animated version first. If you prefer live action, honestly, I don't know which live action Snow White. I guess I'd have to recommend Disney's live action. It's not terrible. I don't know. Honestly, I don't think there is a single live action Snow White that I think is exemplary. So the animated version is definitely the way to go. But if you're familiar with the story, you like animated films, you want to enjoy the story with a different film, then I'd say Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the 2025 animated film, is one that's worth watching.